Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today. My name is Scott Schultz, and I'm the Director of Business Development here at CHFA. At CHFA, our mission is to support the growth and success of the natural, organic, and wellness industry. We know that expanding your business into the new markets brings exciting opportunities, but also new challenges, particularly when it comes to maintaining compliance in an evolving regulatory landscape. We're committed to offering educational content like today's webinar. Equipping you with the right tools and knowledge is critical to success. So whether you're scaling up, diversifying your product offerings, or navigating complex market regulations, we help our members confidently grow their business while staying compliant. If you're not a CHFA member yet, I really encourage you to do so. Membership unlocks several ways, from education to funding government access, to help you along your way. If you're interested in learning more, please contact us at membership@chfa.ca or visit our website, chfa.ca. Before I hand it over to our Government Regulations and Regulatory Affairs team and the wonderful group of speakers that have joined us today, there are a few housekeeping rules that I wanted to share. Your microphones will be muted. However, we'll be taking questions at the end of each session. To ask a question, please use the chat and Q&A function. We'll do our best to answer all questions, but as we have a full agenda today, we may not have the time to get to everything. If we're unable to get to your question, we'll do our best to reach out to you after the session. We also ask that you be considerate of our speakers and our guests and only ask questions that are applicable to the topics we're covering today. We will be recording all sessions and we'll be sharing the recording via email later this week. We have 3 sessions today. The first 2 sessions will be in English, and our final session will be presented in French. I'll hand it over to our VP of Government Relations and Regulatory Affairs, Sonia Parmar.
Thank you so much, Scott. Welcome, everyone. So we're super excited to have you here today as we prepare for an incredible opportunity to expand your business. So thanks to funding from the Government of Canada through the Agri-Marketing Program, we're thrilled to host buyers, both from the Canadian Organic Trade Association and by CHFA at our show. So we were specifically approved for funding this year for certain countries in Asia. So we actually have delegates here right now from Hong Kong and Taiwan. So if you're joining us at the CHFA now in Toronto, be sure to drop by the CODA booth starting at 10:30 a.m., where they'll be hosting set meetings for exhibitors to meet buyers. And then don't miss your chance to meet the buyers at the CHFA member booth from 1 to 2 p.m. We will also send this out through our communications this week. I will be there as well, helping companies fill out vendor forms and to help with the business matching. So you can also expect potential meetings after the show where you can have more detailed conversations. But just to give you a sense of what to expect, today we've invited key industry players, including trade commissioners and experts, to discuss export opportunities and market insights. So, kicking things off, we'll hear from Karen Huang, Trade Commissioner, Agriculture and Agri-Food at the Canadian Trade Office in Taipei, who will introduce the Canadian Trade Commissioner Service and explore Taiwan's agri-food market. Next, Dr. Rachel Xu will provide an overview of Taiwan's functional food industry. And then following this, Carol Chung, Trade Commissioner, will cover the latest on the Hong Kong market. And then finally, Vivian Chu, Vice President of the Hong Kong Health Food Association, will discuss how functional foods are transforming healthcare in Hong Kong. We also have Joanne here to support her. So a very exciting lineup ahead. Let's dive right in and get inspired by the wealth of knowledge these experts have to share. So please join me in welcoming our first speaker. So Karen, I will hand it over to you if you want to share your screen. And you are on mute, just so you are aware.
Share.
There we go.
Oops. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see it.
Good. Okay. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Karen Huang, the Trade Commissioner at the Canadian Trade Office in Taipei. I'm in charge of promoting Canadian agriculture and agri-food product to the Taiwan market. I cover both market access and market development. I was told that I was only have about 10 minutes, so I don't think I will be able to cover all the slides in my presentation. But if you are interested in obtaining a full full presentations, please follow up with me later, and I will send it to you. So for this short presentation, I will just cover the slides I think most important to Canadian companies. Trade Commissioner Service. What is a Trade Commissioner Service? Next up. Trade Commissioner Service can find you key contacts. We can expand global market for you. We can save you time and money, and also connect you with your business, reduce your risks, gain business insights, find new opportunities for you, resolve your business problems. The next slide, I want to talk about Canada in Taiwan. Canada does not have official diplomatic relations with Taiwan. However, Canada maintains strong economic, cultural, and people-to-people ties with Taiwan. Canada is representing Taiwan by the Canadian Trade Office in Taipei, that's my office, and the province of Alberta and British Columbia have a representative office within our office. Taiwan has a population of 23 million people living in an area about the size of Vancouver Island. Taiwan is an upper income country, and in 2023, Taiwan's GDP reached $802 billion US dollars. Actually, Taiwan is the world's 21st largest economy, and also the sixth most influential, and with highest sixth largest and most influential economy in Asia. With a food self-sufficiency rate of 30.7%, Taiwan is a large net importer of agricultural products. Taiwan imported more than 17 billion US dollars of agri-food products in 2023. About half of Taiwan's imports consist of primary products. Taiwan has one of the lowest birth rate in the world. The population is quickly aging. Taiwanese consumer is very health conscious and looking for organic and natural products constantly. Local industry experts believe that the products with which is easy to consume, store or serve, and also in smaller package would have very good potential to succeed. One of the most frequently asked questions about Taiwan's regulation is labeling. In general, food products for retail sale must have a general label in Chinese, listing the following information: product name, ingredients, net weight or volume, names of all food additives, country origin, expiration date, company name, address, and phone number. English labeling is optional. Imported food used for further processing or repackaging rather than sold directly to local consumers are exempted from Chinese labeling requirements. There are other more specific labeling requirements for certain products. Here are some of them. For example, packaged fruit, vegetable juice, caffeine label for packaged drinks, food allergen labels, and chocolate labels. Health food claims and food in tablet and capsule. Products with health food claim must prove the product has a capacity to contribute to health or decreases disease risk, and pre-approval is required. Imported food in tablet or capsule also require pre-registration with Taiwan FDA. There are specific labeling requirements for health food and food in tablet or capsule. As Taiwan's regulation are very kind of complex, we really strongly recommend Canadian exporters to work closely with their Taiwanese partners to ensure compliance with Taiwanese regulation. Food ingredients additive regulations. Taiwanese FDA maintains a searchable database for ingredients integrated query platform for use in foodstuffs. However, this database does not include many products that we consume every day, such as rice or meat products. So if you couldn't find the ingredients in your product in this database, it doesn't always mean that the ingredients are not approved by TFDA. You need to work with your local partners here in Taiwan and also in conjunction with TFDA to do the final determination. If in the end you did find that the ingredient that you used in your product are not approved by TFDA, however, it's commonly used in Canada or many other countries, then you may want to consider applying for non-traditional food ingredients, which means you have to provide scientific data or a supportive literature to prove that your product can be consumed safely as food ingredient. On average, it takes about 1 year to obtain approval from TFDA. Processed food products that contain artificial food additives are subject to strict tolerance label and acceptance use requirements as prescribed by TFDA. Taiwanese standards actually cover about 800 food additives standards and regulations. Additives that are not identified on the permitted list are prohibited for use in foodstuff in Taiwan. Pesticide and other contaminant. Imported fresh products such as grain, fruit, vegetable, or meat are subject to inspection for pesticides, animal drugs, border. Sometimes Taiwan does not have a maximum residue labels for some pesticides or animal drugs commonly used in Canada or other countries. In such cases, Taiwan applies a de facto zero tolerance policy for these agrochemicals. As Taiwanese consumers are very health conscious, food safety is a major concern here. Canadian companies is advised to be sensitive to some requests made by your potential local partners in response to Taiwan's import requirements. For example, your importers might ask you to provide detailed list of ingredients, or they might conduct multiple tests of your products to ensure compliance. In this slide, because of limited time, I will just highlight one thing. Canada and Taiwan reached bilateral agreement and signed this organic equivalency since 2020. So, which means Canadian organic products can be imported and into Taiwan and sold and labeled as organic. So we believe there are some good potential for Canadian organics to for further growth. Our office organized a Canada pavilion at the Food Taipei, which is Taiwan's largest food show. Next year, it will take place from June 25th to 28th. This is our flagship show, and we highly recommend Canadian companies interested in exporting their product to Taiwan exhibiting in our booth. This is our team's contact details. If you have any questions, no matter it's about market access, market development, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Trade Commissioner Service is here for you. Thank you for your attention. Dismiss back.
Thank you so much. So if Dr. Rachel Shu can share her presentation now. Thank you, Karen. And we will be sharing these decks as well for those that are wondering if you'll get access to this information. Yes, absolutely.
I should stop sharing, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Rachel, are you able to start sharing? I have to stop,
Yeah, you have
right?
stop first.
Yeah,
and then
I
can
think
share.
it's like, okay, let me see. Okay.
Should be just at the bottom of your screen.
Oh, finally.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks so much.
Oh, no. Hey, yeah, stop sharing. Yes. Okay, try it. You okay? Can you share now?
We see your desktop. There, we see it.
You see it?
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rachel Su from CGPRDI. Today, there will be two parts of my presentation. The first one is the current overview of the functional food in Taiwan based on the investigation conducted by our institute. And the second part, I will share with you some representative functional ingredients such as recently developed by Taiwanese company. So the first one. So here is the scope of the functional food in Taiwan. There will be the first one is the first type of functional food, and the second one, what we so-called the dietary supplement. But among them, we have a health food, which is an official permitted by TFDA. And beside them, we have a registered specific nutrient food, which is for the patient and infant. But in what I will introduce is about the general functional food, which is the food type of functional food and the dietary supplement of the functional food. So we have a definition for the functional food, which is functional food is a general term implying a food with specific functional component, such as lutein or beta-glucans. So among the, okay, next one. So we have conducted the investigation of the functional food industry of Taiwan every year since 2003 to up to now. And here we the data is which we have just finished for the 2023, and you can see that the industrial output value is about 4.3 billion Canadian dollars, with about 1/4 to export. And we import functional food around 1.8 billion Canadian dollars. So it means that the imported functional food are popular for Taiwanese consumers. On the other hand, our local manufacturer seeks all the possibility to sell their products overseas. Thus, here we see the very good opportunity of trading from both sides. So between Taiwan and Canada, the trading opportunities are very potential. We look at the fraction of food type of functional food of Taiwan in 2023. 1/3 of the functional food is about 1/3 of the functional food is supplement, including tablet, capsule, and sachet powder. As you can see, the beverage and drink is the major categories of the functional food, about almost 50. If we check the source of materials or ingredients of functional food, 65% was from overseas, including plants, seafood, land animals, insect, and synthetic nutrient. And during the investigation, we asked the manufacturers about the functionality priority, both nowadays and future. You can see the red lines shows the functionality nowadays, and the green dot line shows it in the future. So we asked both for the nowadays and the potential for the future. As you see, the gut health is important both nowadays and future, the first one. And the second one would be eye health. Then the stars in the future will be the products about calm down and sleep, weight control, and anti-aging. So you can check the red remark. And both these two slides, for the slide and next one, are for your reference about the previous slide, which we can see the gut health is the very high priorities for the Taiwanese consumers. And then we try to, when we conducted the investigation, we checked information about the imported functional food from our data bank of Taiwan custom. So we can see the distribution of the imported functional food in 2023. So the imported value was around 1.8 billion Canadian dollars, with major categories of plant and herb, and also tab and capsule. So we can see the tablet and capsule. And next one. In addition to the import value, the average growth of recent 5 years is quite important too. So you can see the red dot is the growth of average growth rate of the 5 years. So we can see the first one of the with the highest growth rate is the fish oil, and the second one is the cooking oil. So you can see these two highest growth rate. So that was the overview of the Taiwanese functional industry. And the second part of my presentation will to share with you the recent ingredients developed by Taiwanese company. As you see, Taiwan is a small island. The production of agriculture is tiny compared to Canada. However, the fermentation technology of Taiwan is highly advanced, similar to the semiconductor industry of Taiwan. So all these ingredients are based on scientific evidence. Some of them are certified by US FDA new dietary ingredients. Some of them won awards from food shows. So the first one is Great King. This one, you can see the company's name is Great King Bio. They apply the technology of liquid fermentation on Enchodia for liver care. And Haricum, so-called lion mane mushroom for neuronutrient. This is what we see the potential functional food for the in the future about the calm down or sleep or the nutrient, neuronutrient. And the third one is the probiotic for immune and weight management. And then the next one is the Encasium 568. Which is from Sunway Biotech. Actually, it was concluded research work for 30 years by a professor from National Taiwan University. The patent and automatic sealed solid state fermentation resulted in 5 functionalities in one capsule, such as blood sugar, brain and cognition, cardiovascular health and weight management. All of them are through clinic trials. And then the third company is Hughes Biotech. It is a team from young scientists which apply other patent fermentation technology to boost the bioavailability to convert the polyphenols to be water-soluble form. This product strategy has successfully produced fermented, which is chrysanthemum and citrus and soy isoflavone, which is very good for the brain and neural health, anti-aging, women health and cardiovascular health, respectively. And then we can see another company, which is Syngene Bio. It is a major producer of probiotics in Taiwan. They further built up a platform called co-fermentation, in which new functional ingredients are developed when specific probiotics is co-fermented with others. So they have the co-fermented by dragon fruit with lactic bacteria, and then they co-fermented by red turmeric. And also they can lower the inflammation and boost energy metabolism by cooperating with broccoli powder and kale powder, which is very interesting. And the last one is an Adley. Adley actually is a famous cereal crop, which is very good for women health, to regulate women hormones according to Chinese medicine therapy. So this company called ATP company applied the novel technology to extract from the Adley with a red bran, which is a natural herbal formula for menstrual pain release. It is helpful for young women when they get the period instead of using a painkiller Panadol. So this is some example from Taiwan. And I think in the first part, I give the briefing overview of the Taiwan functional industry. But due to the time limit, I cannot make it very detailed. So if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me, or you can email me through Karen Huang. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we know it's late for you, so we appreciate the time you've taken in Taiwan and also in Hong Kong. So I will ask you to stop sharing. Thank you. And Carol, you can start sharing your screen.
Stop sharing.
Thank you, Sonia. Hi, everyone. So my name is Carol Chung, and I'm the Agriculture and Agri-Food Trade Commissioner at the Consulate General of Canada in Hong Kong. And our office covers Hong Kong and Macau markets. So we have similar to our Taipei office, we help the Canadian food companies, including health food, functional food company, to export to the Hong Kong and Macau markets. So I was only given a few minutes, so I'm going to quickly go through the a bit of the market characteristics on Hong Kong and also on some market access information, and I will leave I'll represent speakers from the Hong Kong Health Food Association who also talk more about the trends and market of the Hong Kong health food industry, and I will also leave my contact information at the end of my presentation. So if you would like to know more about the Hong Kong market, please feel free to reach out to me. So let's start on some characteristics on Hong Kong markets. So Hong Kong is one of the two special administrative regions of the People's Republic of China, with the autonomy of governments in all matter with the exception of foreign affairs and defense. The other special administrative region is Macau, which is 15 kilometers away from Hong Kong, and it is also under our office jurisdiction. So under the principle of one country, two system, Hong Kong's legal system, which is different from mainland China. The Hong Kong system is based on the British common law, supplemented by written law and independent judiciary. And as such, Hong Kong has a very different food and beverage market from mainland China, especially on market access that we will talk more later in this presentation. And Hong Kong has a population of 7.5 million. And in 2023, Hong Kong has the GDP per capita of over 70,000 Canadian dollar, and it is one of the highest in Asia. And due to limited agricultural activities, around 95% of food products in Hong Kong are imported. Our consumer are sophisticated, enjoys cosmopolitan food and beverages, and are trend given for their food consumption. And as such, Hong Kong is also a strategic location for first time to Asia exporter or new food products to test the Asian market. It is a gateway for suppliers to expand into mainland China and to other Asian markets. So earlier I mentioned that Hong Kong is a different market from mainland China. And one of the biggest difference for Hong Kong is on market access. Hong Kong maintains food and agricultural import regulation autonomous in mainland China. Hong Kong is a free port with no import tariff on general food items. The only exception is on beverages, alcoholic beverages that exceed 30% of alcohol content. And Hong Kong has the world's least regulatory barrier to food imports. The Hong Kong food trade policy are transparent, which draws reference to the Codex and the World Organization for Animal Health in the context of food safety standard and animal health standard in the setting or in lieu of domestic regulation. And in Hong Kong, food intended for sales must be fit for human consumption as defined under the legal framework for food safety as in control of Part 5 of the Public Health and Municipal Service Ordinance and its subsidiary legislation. And I understand that Vivian from the Hong Kong Health Food Association will talk more about the Hong Kong food laws in her presentation. General food items in Hong Kong can be imported without certification. And for supplement product, for example, probiotic, joint beauty product, they are also considered as general food items in Hong Kong. Meanwhile, the importation of high-risk products such as meat, eggs, milk, and frozen confectionery are required to provide health certificate. The Center for Food Safety, Hong Kong's authority, is responsible for issuing import licenses for these foods to be imported to Hong Kong. Canadian exporters are required to work to provide the Canadian Food Inspection Agency health certificate to their Hong Kong importers so that they could obtain the import license from the Hong Kong Food Authority. One thing it is also important to notice that in Hong Kong, the retail sale of packaged product and beverage must comply with the labeling requirement. Vivian from Hong Kong Health Association would also talk more about the details of the labeling requirement. Usually, your local importer will work with you on the labeling requirement. As I know that most of our attendees are focused on health and wellness products, and one thing I would like to note to today's attendees and members of the CHFA is that on market access on the CBD. So Hong Kong government has recently amended the Dangerous Drug Ordinance for the control of CBD, which became effective of February 2023. Under the newly amended regulation, the manufacturer, import, export, supply, sale, possession, or transshipment of any product containing CBD in Hong Kong, regardless of quantity, will be prohibited. Last but not least, I would like to share some information on exporter tips on doing businesses in Hong Kong. So the official written language in Hong Kong are traditional Chinese and English. The main spoken language in Hong Kong are Cantonese Chinese, which is a prominent Chinese dialect in Hong Kong and southern China, and English. English is commonly used in business transactions, and many Hong Kong citizens are trilingual in English, Cantonese Chinese, and Mandarin Chinese. Hong Kong is a very fast-paced environment, so a Canadian exporter have to maintain their Hong Kong buyers or importers' interest and their loyalty through efficient business communication. Before passing, so this is my contact information, and I'm happy to exchange with Canadian exporter if you would like to know more information about Hong Kong market. And now I will pass the floor to Ms. Vivian Cho from the Hong Kong Health Food Association. Over to you, Vivian.
Hi, everyone. Just on the lighter side, I would like to say for language, we also have what we call Chinglish, a good mixture of Chinese and English in daily life. All right. So, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Evening. I hats off really to all the other ladies who spoke tonight. In comparison, I would say Hong Kong is much more simpler for importing health food products, really, especially for Taiwan. It is very diversified, and I can just see the regulatory side is very stringent. At least I can say compared to Hong Kong. Anyway, so as in every country in the world now, things are changing, and also Hong Kong with the changing time, we're looking at what we consider as a good diet and for good health, right? So I think basically we're just going to basics first, all right? Just want to share with you the regulatory structure of oral products in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, we are very simple. We only have the food and the drug, two classifications. And then again, as you can see, they are really very simply classified. But please just have a look. And then, as I said later, we have a QR code that you can access anytime, okay, in leisure. But again, because of time constraint, all right, I guess we just have to go faster than what should be. Okay, right. Okay. As an industry overview, the retail sales in Hong Kong is very high in the region. It's practically, I think, because people have been using supplements for many, many years, all right? And then I think the turnover is about 10 billion in sales, all right? And this is only this year. I can just say that the growth, all right, every year, as you can see from the chart, is not only climbing, it's jumping. Okay. All right. The population in Hong Kong for aging is also very much on the increase, right? So it is expected in 2034, 1 in every 3 persons will be taking supplements. Will be because we're getting older. So what are the chronic disease rate that's affecting the population in Hong Kong? We have here dementia, all right, rising at 10%, blood pressure issues, okay, 57, because I think in Hong Kong, the life is very stressful, all right? And we also have the impact of high cholesterol, which rates at 53%. And then, of course, the cardio side, all right? Surprisingly, it comes through at 8%. Okay, so what do we know about functions of supplements in Hong Kong? Please have a look. This is how we classify the use of supplements in Hong Kong. So if you go into any pharmacy, if you read the labels, it is more or less defined as in the chart. Yeah. So we see that actually the Hong Kong government doesn't do any survey. The last one that was done was by Hong Kong Health Food Association several years ago. But I think we're always falling behind all the surveys, right? So as you can see, all right, now we are in about, even in 2019, all right, we're seeing a 58% growth. And so by the time we get to in a few years, I think we'll be very close to 70, 80%, all right? I think supplements is very much of everyone's diet in Hong Kong. So the vitamins, the types of health supplement, all right, that are very popular within the last 6 months when we did a survey, comes under vitamins, probiotics, and omega series. Okay. But I think we also have the, if we can get back to the last page. All right. I think what is catching up very fast is the use of herbs in the healthcare scene in Hong Kong. All right. So why do we see suddenly the herbal supplements running, taking a very quick increase? Is because herbal supplements are friendlier and easier to adapt into daily life, right? So we have also now herbal foods are commonly, actually used in the kitchen. And then because now we consider the herbs as being part of our daily diet, all right? So I can just say that, there is a big potential for Chinese herbs to be developed into supplements. Well, is it simpler? Yes, because I think everybody loves to cook, and food, as long as on the table. We used to say healthy food, but now we are saying that food with herbal as ingredients. Especially for the Cantonese, every day we are very used to having a soup on the table. So there is no argument to say that how healthcare comes through, all right? There is a latest, all right, thought that can we really look at food as medicine? All right. Well, I guess based on the Chinese philosophy, the health and wellness begins with food, and you are what you eat. So it can give you an impact both ways. Okay, it can be very positive, all right, but it can also be very negative, because if you consume too much, we have malnutrition, overweight, and bad hygiene. But if you really eat the right food, all right, I can say that, with a balanced diet, the health gets better. So with one Chinese saying that illness is through the mouth, and that means eating, meaning that you eat, and so this is what gives you the health side. Good health is through balancing of your diet and lifestyle. This is a new trend to introduce the role of food having benefits as functions. By the way, Hong Kong doesn't have a functional category, functional food. And with another association, we're lobbying the government to increase a classification called functional food. I guess here in Hong Kong, we look at food is about nutrition, medicine is about healing, right? So what do we consider as food? Okay, it's proteins, fats, sugars, vitamins, minerals, water, dietary fibers. And medicine, all right, we understand as synthesized or extracted molecules with known effects of healing, treating or elevating certain symptoms or disease. I guess in Hong Kong, we always sooner or later associate lifestyle with TCM, which is a traditional Chinese medicine. In that perspective, there are 9 constitutions, all right, for a person. So this is how we understand it. And this is normally affected by the way you are born and how you're growing up, your genes and your diet, lifestyle, and stress. So in terms of TCM, we always come through the 2 words yin and yang, all right? And we consider that it is the foundation of good health. So what it means is that it's a balance, right, of the yin and the yang. Yin normally is really talking about the female, and yang is about a male, right? So the yin characteristics are cold, heavy, slow, and stagnant. The yin body has food preference for cold food, which normally tastes sour, bitter, and salty. And a yin person has tendency to be calm, strong, lower body, and a slow metabolism and prone to digestive, and normally sensitive to cold. So for the man, the yang characteristics are hot, fast, and lively. The yang body has preference for warm food, which are sweet and pungent. A yang person has tendency to be energetic, strong upper body, and is prone to cardiovascular and respiratory problems.
Vivian, sorry, I'm just going to give you a heads up. We're running a little bit over time
Okay,
here. So if you want to just take a quick second to summarize, and we can jump to a quick couple of questions.
Okay, right. Because I'm about to catch a flight out from Hong Kong also, all right?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No, so when I'm saying that, so whatever it is in Hong Kong, we a lot of times, as far as lifestyle is concerned, we are very concerned with the how you look at it from the Chinese philosophy and lifestyle and also traditions, right? And that is why the role of herbs coming in to be supplements or any type of health food is growing, all right? So I can say that I am just going through, okay? So I'll skip to the saying that examples of frequent functions of herbs, all right? This one, I won't go over it because if you're interested, you can go back to our QR code, all right? But this is how we look at it. And so because of how we look at health, all right? So supplements or whatever dietary food, all right, is based on our understanding of our body and herbs, right? So for example, these are some examples of the commonly used herbs, all right? And so I just want to say good health is in our hands, and definitely kitchen is as good a place to start, bringing in good health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And apologies if we had to rush the speakers. It was namely to give people a quick introduction as to what you can expect with these markets. And Carol and Karen will actually be in person with us at CHFA now in Toronto. So a huge thank you, and especially for taking time before flights and at night to join us. So we appreciate that. We will share your presentation so people can contact you or us if there are more questions. I did have one quick question. I think this is for you, Vivian, but you did mention a show in June 2025. So we have somebody asking where this show is specifically. Oh, you're on mute.
All right. In Hong Kong, there are 2 associations which deals with lifestyle, okay? One is the Hong Kong Health Food Association, and normally there's a conference in, this is September, in August, all right? We just had a conference, all right? And it's a very big exhibition. But another association, which is very much involved in lifestyle, is also what we call the modernized Chinese medicine. So that is actually using extracts of ingredients from herbs and from other products. Okay, so we have the two big conferences, and normally they are also held together about the same time. They are about 3-4 days every year.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I don't see any other questions here. If there are any other questions, please do send us an email. We will ensure to get those off to you and get answered through Karen and Carol. But otherwise, I wish everyone that has joined from Hong Kong and Taiwan a very nice evening, very happy day, happy night. Thank you so much again. So I will hand it off to Ashley now to introduce the next speakers. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Cornell. I'm the Director of Regulatory Affairs and Policy, overseeing the food files that impact our membership here at CHFA. And the next series of presentations will focus on things impacting U.S. exports. So first up, we have Sam Harris and Theodore Acronelli from UNFI US, and they're going to give us the 411 on the U.S. Food Safety Modernization Act and what you need to know to stay on top of the new food traceability requirements that will impact your U.S. export business. And just to give you a little bit about them, UNFI is the largest publicly traded wholesale distributor of health foods across North America. Sam is based out of Washington, D.C., where he serves as the Manager of Government and Public Affairs at UNFI, advancing UNFI's federal government relations priorities. Previously, he has advised a U.S. congressman, worked to improve FSMA implementation for agricultural producers, and advocated for conservation programs in the U.S. Farm Bill and the House Agricultural Committee. And prior to his congressional work, Sam was involved in various political campaigns, including those for a U.S. senator and a U.S. president. We also have Theodore. Theodore is UNFI's new Vice President of Food Safety and Quality Assurance. He has over 20 years of global leadership in food industry, and he has held senior roles at multinational companies like Cadbury, Kraft Foods, Mondelez and Mondelez International. Prior to joining UNFI, he served as the Global Director of FSQA and Sustainability at AGT Food and Ingredients and the Vice President of Food Safety Solutions at Mariu Nutrisciences. So over to you, Sam and Theodore.
Awesome, thank you. And can I present my screen?
Yes, you can. I think Vivian still has her screen up, but you can try to just take over there.
Yeah, it's just saying multiple presenters are sharing. There we go. Can you see that? Okay.
Yep.
Well, thanks again, Ashley. Thanks for the introduction and for the invitation to join you all. Wanted to speak a little bit today about some really important regulations that are coming down the pike in the US, and something that we've been intensely focused on at UNFI, particularly in our role as a distributor and someone that carries private brands. This is a pretty transformational regulation that's in part coming down from the Food Safety Modernization Act. So we wanted to give you just a high-level overview on the role itself and FSMA. This isn't particularly, any requirements coming from UNFI officially. So if you are a partner or supplier to us, these aren't necessarily like prescriptive requirements at this point in time, but we wanted to use the opportunity to just make sure everyone has a heads up of what's coming. A little bit, I think, will be helpful. We'll just do an overview of the Food and Drug Administration, as well as the Food Safety Modernization Act. And then I'll turn it over to my colleague, Theodore, who will really dig into the food traceability role and the specifics there. And then hopefully we'll have some time for questions if there are any. The Food and Drug Administration is the U.S. federal agency that is responsible for protecting public health and ensuring a safe food supply here in the U.S. And part of the FDA, there's the two main parts being pharmaceuticals and drug and cosmetic safety overview, and then also the Humans Food Program, which includes food safety, chemical safety, and innovative food technologies. The FDA regulates around 75% of the U.S. food supply, excluding mostly meat and poultry products and some egg products, which are regulated by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Food Safety Inspection Service. The FDA is also responsible for all major foodborne illness outbreaks and those investigations, and like I said, excluding some meat and poultry products. And most similarly in Canada, this would be the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which falls under Health Canada, and here in the US is under the Health and Human Services Agency. The Food Safety Modernization Act, which really kind of laid the groundwork for the food traceability rule that's coming down and going into effect in 2026. FSMA was signed into law in 2011. It was passed by the US Congress and signed into law by President Obama. And it really overhauled all of our regulations regarding food production, food safety, and gave the FDA the authority to oversee and enforce food safety regulations throughout our supply chains for domestic and foreign farms. And it does apply to foods regulated by the FDA. So the Food Safety Modernization Act does not impact any of those that are regulated by the Department of Agriculture or FSIS. The rule covers commercial farms, packing operations, and food processing facilities. And like I said, really gave the FDA that authority to take food safety regulation oversight from the farm all the way to the hands of the consumer at the point of purchase. And if you're registering already with the FDA under various programs, the chances are that FSMA or Food Safety Modernization Act, new regulations that came under that law are applicable to you, your products, and your operation. Several of the regulations, resulted as part of this legislation that was passed and required by Congress, including the last rule, which was officially published as a final rule in the fall of 2021, and that is the Food Traceability Rule, or FSMA Rule 204. And most similarly to you all that you might be familiar with, it's pretty similar to the Safe Food for Canadians Act regulation, which once again goes to modernize our food safety practices in the way that we really oversee and enforce food safety throughout the supply chain. So now I will turn it over to Theodore to dig into those specifics of the role.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that laying the ground. So talking about, I think before we start, it would be great to sort of get some acronyms out of the way. And this would help us to understand, generally when we start to walk through the this new rule. My aim today is to try to simplify it and take out all the complexity in what this rule means and who it applies to, and what are the requirements of to comply with the rule. The first acronym I'd like to get out of the way is FTL, which refers to the Food Traceability List. This is just a list of products that the FDA has targeted for this rule to for this rule will be applied to. So the reason why a certain group of foods were selected, it's coming down to past experiences with recalls and the because they're also high risk products. So that's what forms the Food Traceability List. Now the next acronym is a CTE, which means Critical Tracking Event. So in simple terms, this just generally means all the various steps within the supply chain, right from the farm till you get to the store or to the shelf. So what that means, this could also be things like harvesting, packing, shipping, and all wherever you can have transformation could also present as a key, the critical tracking event where products are packed and how they move within the supply chain. And this is important, and you'll see the importance of this acronym and how it applies into this role. Key data element generally refers to the data that is being collected where the critical tracking events occur. So for example, where you have the harvesting, the information that is related to the harvesting would be the key data element associated with harvesting. And if, for example, a product goes through a cooling step, then the data that is related to that cooling process would be referred to as a key data element. So it's just the data associated with the key tracking event. Then the traceability lot code is something that I'm sure everybody here is aware of. It's the way we trace our products, the way we track our products by, sometimes it could be numbers, it could be dates, it could be alphanumeric. I think everybody does it in different ways. Next slide. Now, talking about the rule, just like Sam said in his introduction, this rule, I think, let me just give an sort of paint a picture so we can really understand how it really looks like, what this rule is trying to do. So when the US FDA came out with the rule with the FSMA rule and was trying to modernize its food safety programs, the intention was to try to provide safe food to its citizens. And one of the things that we did was put in place a rule that refers to preventive controls, and we had one for foreign, they call it the FSVP, which has to do with imported products into the US. Now, this rule is almost like, it's like the final rule that sort of brings everything together, which is about the traceability rule. So the preventive control basically is saying, put in place all the basics of food safety and all those pillars that protects us, that helps us to be proactive. And the FSVP also challenges importers or food businesses to ensure that they are aware of everything that is being imported into the US. Then the food traceability rule generally is saying that if all our controls fail, if everything that we've done to prevent a food safety event fails, how do we track it? So this is what the food traceability rule is trying to do. So it's just basically it challenges all the players within the food supply chain to establish food traceability requirements and programs that would help to track products from the farm all the way to the consumer. So in the event that something bad really happens, or if something fails within the food safety programs within the facilities, there would be the mechanism to trace and take those products that are tainted or contaminated off our shelves will be easy. So there are several requirements. I mean, like I said, it's one of the things it's geared to do is to ensure the faster identification, rapid removal of potentially contaminated products. And at the end of the day, is to reduce the incidence of foodborne illnesses and to reduce death within the society. So at the core of this rule, there's also a requirement that key KDEs, which are the key data elements associated with specific tracking events, can be requested by the FDA, and it must be presented within 24 hours. So also this rule covers both domestic and all imported products, as long as your products are within that food traceability list. Okay, now the compliance date for this rule will be Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Next, please. All right, so we talked about the food traceability list earlier. So this slide just shows you the different products that fall into the category. So it's more or less like product categories. So If you have any products on this list, whether it's imported or you export it to the US, or it's something that is exported into the US, you are going to be there's no exemption for you under the rule, because the rule applies to every product, irrespective of where it is sourced, whether it's locally or domestic, input internationally or domestically. These 16 categories are going to be in scope for the compliance. Okay, and that includes herbs. Fresh cut vegetables, nuts and butters, cheeses, leafy greens, ready to eat deli salads, melons, cucumbers, tomatoes, and a whole long list of them. Next slide. All right, so who is impacted by the regulation? So as I said earlier, every member within the supply chain that is handling or processing any of those items just shown to you in the food traceability list, any of the food categories, will be impacted by this regulation. So whether you're a harvester or a packer or a processor or warehouse distribution or retail or restaurant, you will be impacted. All right, so this is important that you understand that some of this basic expectation is that, whoever is playing in the role of the harvester or the packer should be assigning, some means of tracing your product at that point, and also capturing key data events for, key data elements for the critical tracking events at that stage of the supply chain. If you're a processor or a manufacturer, you're also required to keep also some traceability information at that stage. And at that stage, the key data elements, could be your information that links your products to the ingredients that goes into your products, so that you can have a full visibility of what has gone into the products that you're supplying to upstream. All right. Then it's also important that your product leaves your facility, you would also be required to pass some kind of traceability information to whoever is warehousing or distributing on your behalf, and also in turn to the retail. Now, the reason why this is important is that there needs to be a handshake of data or information or traceability information right from the farm to the consumer. And that is really the crux of the rule. And the rule generally is saying that KD is supposed to be shared right from upstream and downstream and through the supply chain to present a situation where we have full traceability or full transparency of the supply chain in terms of traceability. Next slide. All right, so let's get into some of the details of the rule. So the FDA FSMA 204 has a requirement for record keeping. So we talked about the critical tracking events. So depending on where you are or where you play within the supply chain, if it could be harvesting, cooling, packing, distribution, whatever it is. Now, it's important that that activity, whatever you do, before you hand it off to the next chain within the supply chain, next process within the supply chain, that activity would be referred to as a critical tracking event. And this is to ensure that everything that has happened in each of those steps within the supply chain is being tracked and it's being traceable right from the farm to the consumer. Okay, when products change ownership, okay, whether you're selling it to a different customer, that's also going to be referred to as a key tracking event. Okay, if you repack a product, you bought it in bulk, and now you're repacking into a smaller pack, that is also referred to as a key tracking event. So what kind of data is required? What kind of data is important at this stage? So what are the things that is important when you talk about the key data elements? Who is sharing this data? What items, okay? What product is being what product is going to be an important information that this data should capture. Okay, then where did the critical event happen? Okay, where did the critical tracking event happen? Then when did it occur? In some cases, a timestamp could be something that could also address that. Then also your normal traceability code, your batch numbers or batch code, whatever we use, will be also important. Then also in some cases, TCL source references, so for physical location. So if, for example, it's being placed maybe within a warehouse or wherever it is, then a TLC source reference will be applicable at that stage. Next slide. All right, now let's talk about the other some other aspects of the rule that refers to data sharing and retention. So the for every critical event and key data element, they will need to be linked by a code, okay, a traceability code. And the FDA requires that for every player within the supply chain that is managing or handling or that is generating CTEs and generating KDEs and has CTEs, which are the critical tracking events, the records are meant to be kept for 2 years, okay, retained for at least 2 years. Now, the FDA also can request for data, all right? And the data, I mean, this data we're talking about are the key and the KDEs, which are the key data elements. If the FDA requires the request for the data, it must be provided within 24 hours in an electronic sortable spreadsheet, just like an Excel sheet or a Google Doc, Google spreadsheet, okay? Now, additional data transfer requirements, setting shipping KDEs are required to be shared with the next node in the supply chain. So in certain cases, like I said initially, as the product moves from one player within the supply chain to the other, key data that is associated with the previous critical tracking event must be passed forward across all the way down to the last process within the supply chain. Next slide. Now, these are key actions to comply. So depending on your role within the supply chain, whether you're a supplier, a distributor, or retailer, and there are several factors to consider. Now, you need to think about your process. You need to think about review what are the processes, and determine how many CTEs you have within your process. So design processes, and you need to understand how many CTEs you have, and determine how you capture the data, your traceability information within your process. You also need to start thinking about the operational impact that this change could present to your business. Then in some cases, you also need to start thinking about data, how all this data that we're going to collect, how are they going to be managed? All right. So you need to start thinking about what kind of technologies are out there I could use for carrying this traceability information within my supply chain. And you also now have to start to think about how, if the FDA requires you to present data, how do you present the data? So these are things that are really important that you need, and everybody who is impacted by this rule needs to start thinking about. Then you need to also identify systems of records to validate and capture key data elements. So these are things that we need to start to think about. Then remember, we don't exist in a bubble. There are other players, within our supply chain. Now, we could have customers that you supply to, and so identify your supplier requirements for labels, pallets, specifications, packaging. Those are things that we need to start thinking about. because there are other players within our industry. And, you know, even though you're producing a product, you're getting your raw material from somewhere. So this is that relationship between all the players within and all our stakeholders, whether internal or external. We need to start thinking about how this rule is going to impact them. So we need to start to have those conversations early, and that helps us to sort of put us in a good spot for compliance with the rule. Next slide. All right. So this slide basically is just showing, you know, things that are out there. Okay, this is not necessarily what our company is doing, but these are what is out, you know, in the public in terms of best practices. So what we've seen is we've had companies already planning to roll out their solutions early in the fall of 2025. And the reason why they're doing this is to ensure that they can meet the enforcement or when the rule gets into action in 2026. So they're trying to get ahead of the curve. Now, what we also see is that lots of people are focusing on the master data systems, okay, adding flags to the products that are listed on the food traceability list. They've done that to ensure that as the product moves within their system, they are able to track it. So then we've also seen situations where some companies are also using electronic data exchange systems and electronic product code information systems to share data, okay? Then we've also seen people also leveraging existing data transfer mechanisms such as paper documentation, advanced shipping notifications and stuff like that. But remember, depending on how big you are, this might not be something that might be applicable. You know, the bigger you are, the more complicated it is. The smaller you are, the easier for it. So a smaller business might want to go with paper, which might work for them very well, as long as the information is passed across. The FDA has not does not have any specific requirements on how you implement the rule, as long as they are able to get their data in a electronic format that is sortable. Okay, so for smaller customers, simplifying data transfer via self-portals is another thing that some players out there are also doing. Excellent. All right, so this is like a timeline of the rule. So as of today, what we see is most companies are building solutions to try to comply with the rule, and the expectation is most of them are going to try to do that before January 2026. FDA will start enforcement January 2026, and after that, in 2027, the FDA will start to do routine inspections. So, and they would not begin routine inspections until January 2027. So this is really important. This timeline is really important to show us how, you know, how tight it is for us to comply. So it's very important that we take this into consideration as we plan, because, you know, before you know it, time just flies away, and, you know, the enforcement date just is staring us in the face, and it's just around the corner. It's 2026 January. Next slide. Do we have any questions? This is where we'll take questions from the house.
Yes, thanks so much for your presentation. It was great, very informative. I've been monitoring the chat and the Q&A. It doesn't look like we have any questions that have come in. I'll give it a minute, and maybe in the meantime, if there is anything that you think maybe you didn't cover off in your presentation that would be important to know, you can let us know about that. Otherwise, we can just wait a minute to see if any questions come in, and if not, then we will advise our attendees to email us, and we can forward along any questions to Sam and Theo to answer via email.
I would just add, there's a ton of resources available on the FDA's website. They have a whole food traceability center with frequently asked questions and guidance documents. There's a tool on there that you can answer a few questions to see if you may be eligible for an exemption or waiver, and help you identify if you're subject to the rule. And then we also have a lot of guidance documents put together by trade associations and others that we would be happy to share or pass along if helpful, or if anyone has any further questions.
Okay, I mean, that's a great tip. Thank you. It doesn't look like we have had any questions come in. So thank you very much for your time today. We'll move right along to our next session, which is also US based. And today we will hear from one of CHFA's own, Jules Goron, about updates on Amazon US requirements. So Jules joined CHFA in February of 2023, bringing 14 years of global compliance experience to the team. She has held executive roles in the HP industry in customer experience, sales, risk, and compliance, and brings a unique understanding of the industry to her role as Director of Regulatory Affairs and Policy at CHFA. Over to you, Jules.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you for everyone who's joining us. I'm going to be quick. It's still open for questions, and we'll try and answer questions if you have from the last speakers as well. I will be pretty quick. I just wanted to give a quick update. So I'm going to attempt the famous screen share and hope that this works. And it's spinning for me. Hopefully you can see that. If not, I trust one of my colleagues would flag it to me. But yeah, thanks for being here. As Ashley said, I'm just popping in because there were some updates that came out of Amazon.com. So not to scare anybody, this is not Amazon Canada. This is an export webinar, and we are talking about the US. So Amazon.com updated some of its policies regarding dietary supplements. So AKA here in Canada, NHPs. On April 2nd. So we wanted to get that information over to you because we know that there's a lot of brands here in Canada. A lot of our member companies are looking to expand into the US. We are just given amazing information to help with that on the food side. Any of our NHP members who are looking to expand into the United States, Amazon.com can seem like perhaps more simple, easier way to do so. It's online sales market. It's a good step into an enormous country where people definitely love their dietary supplements. However, Amazon.com has, like I said, changed the policy. We wanted to get you that information. So as of the 2nd, they updated their policy requiring the verification of dietary supplement products through a third-party testing, inspection, certification, so a TIC organization. And compliance with this new policy is the only thing that's going to get you on Amazon and be able to sell in a compliant way and ensure that your products are not taken off of the platform. So just to be clear, there was a lot of confusion around this aspect of it. The way I think that the policy was perhaps shared and written in the beginning, there was a lot of fear that this was impacting everything in the United States. Right now, this is impacting specifically anything that Amazon decides falls under the weight management category, the sexual enhancement category, or the bodybuilding category. Now, all of those have gray areas. That is well understood. Bodybuilding, of course, can touch everything from protein supplements. Pre-workouts would be, caffeinated, green tea falling into that weight management. So again, the company itself, the legal team at Amazon, are the ones who are going to decide if your product falls under any of these categories to them, and that will get flagged to you in your seller's dashboard. Amazon.com requires that its selling partners comply with what they consider to be the applicable federal, territorial, state, and local laws. And of course, Amazon policy falls into that. They own the platform. They can put in the rules that they want to. So most of this prior was handled by Amazon itself. So some of this won't seem new to anybody. You're going to say, Jules, you're telling us what we already know. Wait, it gets good. So the products, you have to provide that proof that products are manufactured in a GMP compliant facility, that the products do not contain contaminants that may pose concern to human health, that the product contains the ingredients claimed on the label, and new products do not contain undeclared active pharmaceutical ingredients. So this is where testing comes in at the cost of the seller working with the TIC. So important to note that under the previous policy, these documents, certain documents, you were able to submit those directly to Amazon. Amazon would review those documents and get back to you and tell you like, yeah, get your ASIN on. Let's do business together. Wasn't that simple, but you know, let's pretend in a perfect world it was. Since the update, like I said, you must work with the TIC. The TIC through your seller's dashboard is going to collect the documentation, give them all that GMP, everything that you have. They are going to review the documentation that you have, and they are going to get back to you with the notification if any of those products, it goes by ASIN on Amazon. So if any of those ASINs require them to do the testing that is required by Amazon now, that testing is going to be required to be redone on those ASINs on a yearly basis as well, to the cost of the seller. So the only approved TICs as of right now are Eurofins, NSF International, and UL. I would assume that there might still be backlogs there. So if this is a channel into the US that you are looking at, I suggest you get set up and really choose which one of those three you want to start working with, because as everybody had to go through this at the same time, there was expected to be big backlogs and big delays. If I may say, something we're used to in Canada, but not necessarily used to in the United States. The TIC must be accessed, like I said, via your seller's dashboard. So all of that is on Amazon.com. When you get set up there, you're given all the tools and the links that you need. The seller provided documentation, like I said, is no longer being accepted by Amazon. You have to go through a TIC. That is just the quick of it. Like I said, we know a lot of people are looking to Amazon.com as a sales channel into this massive neighbor of ours to the south. If you want to stay informed on all changing regulations here in Canada, in the US, internationally, I invite our members to be sure to sign up for a regulatory report. We do the best that we can to keep you informed on all of those. And if you're not a member, consider becoming a member today so that you can get access to changing policies, regulations, and legislation as they happen with our partners around the world. That is it for me, unless you can see some questions. Ashley, I'll try to stop sharing because I'm blinded right now. But yeah, unless there's any other questions, I'll pass it, I believe, over to Ashley or Scott. One of my colleagues is going to jump in. I will stop talking. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. We appreciate you being here for our export webinar.
Thanks, Jules. Yeah, no questions have come in yet, so we can close off that session, and I will hand it back to Scott.
Thank you, Ashley. That's great. A lot of amazing information coming through there. That's really great. I just want to have a little key message for everyone. So join us at the CHFA Now Toronto. It's taking place September 19th to 22nd at the Entercare Center in downtown Toronto. You can learn more at chfanow.ca. Online registration is now closed to non-CHFA members, but you can still register on site with proof of industry involvement, business license, a pay stub, that sort of thing. If you were not a member yet, consider joining our community. We're a community of almost 1,200 members who are all committed to growing the natural, organic, and wellness industry. Members can benefit from lots of perks, like free access to our CHFA Now and industry events. It's like if you sign up, your whole entire organization can come to our show with one membership. It's fantastic. There's more education opportunities, there's consumer insight reports, and funding opportunities. So to learn more, get in touch at membership@chfa.ca. We'll take a short break, then I'll hand it over to my teammate Jules, Director of Regulatory Affairs and Policy, and she'll kick off our French session. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Pour ceux qui viennent écouter le webinaire en français, on part à 11h15, désolé, à 11h15, on va vous annoncer c'est qui nos conférenciers et on va commencer en français. Alors, on se donne rendez-vous dans 45 minutes. À plus tôt.